Lawrence Chenault was a trailblazer of African-American cinema and one of the major stars of Oscar Micheaux's films of the silent era. But after starring in a few talkies, he retired. What happened? Join me as I investigate. Lawrence was born in 1877 in Kentucky to William Chenault and Molly Mitchell, who later married Ambrose Saunders in 1888. At an early age, Lawrence's family moved to Cincinnati, where young Lawrence became a soloist in his church choir. In 1895, at the age of 18, Lawrence began his acting career on the stage in Chicago at the Pekin Theater. He also began touring in vaudeville as a featured tenor in various companies, even touring with Ernest Hogan, who was the first African-American actor to produce and star in a Broadway show. Hogan's tour took Lawrence across America and even to Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania, and Hawaii. In the 19-teens, Lawrence joined Anita Bush's Lafayette Players, a Harlem Renaissance all-black theater company that she started to combat racial stereotypes seen in popular Broadway shows. According to one source, Lawrence was the first leading man in the Lafayette Players stock company, touring the country in all-black productions. In the Lafayette Players, Lawrence befriended another artist who would become influential over the second part of his career, Oscar Micheaux. Micheaux, a writer, began making his own films in 1919 when he adapted his novel, The Conquest, for the screen as The Homesteader. Micheaux aimed to make films that forced audiences to think about the issues and inequalities that plagued African Americans in America at the time. He once commented, "It is only by presenting those portions of the race portrayed in my pictures in the light and background of their true state that we can raise our people to greater heights." In 1920, Lawrence was cast as the leading man in Micheaux's third film, The Brute, which was his film debut. Lawrence played Herbert Lanyon, a man thought to be lost at sea who returns to reclaim his love, played by Evelyn Prier, who was forced into a marriage with the title character, The Brute. Later that same year, Lawrence starred in Micheaux's The Symbol of the Unconquered in a haunting performance as a man of mixed race who passes for white, turns his back on his black background, and aids the KKK in their taking of a wealthy black man's property. He has some truly terrifying dramatic moments that are a testament to the range of his acting. In 1921, Lawrence starred in Micheaux's The Gunseless Mystery as attorney Sidney Wyeth, a role that was played by Clarence Brooks in Micheaux's sound remake Murder in Harlem in 1934. In 1922, he starred opposite his director from the Lafayette Players, Anita Bush, in the Western mystery The Crimson Skull. Sadly, both The Gunseless Mystery and The Crimson Skull are lost. In 1925, Micheaux cast Lawrence as another villain, this time as Curly Hines in Body and Soul, which thankfully survives. Hines served as the foil to the hero of the film, Reverend Isaiah Jenkins, played by the legendary actor and singer Paul Robeson, and Hines set out to expose the phony preacher played by Robeson unless he is properly financially compensated. In 1926, Lawrence was teamed with Evelyn Prier again in two Micheaux films, The Devil's Disciple and The Conjure Woman, both of which are also sadly lost. In 1925, Lawrence starred in one final silent film, The Scar of Shame, as the alcoholic father of the star leading lady played by Pearl McCormick. In 1932, Lawrence Chenault made his talkie debut in Micheaux's Veiled Aristocrats, but his scenes in the film appear to be lost. Only a partial copy of the film survives. He also starred in another Micheaux film, 10 Minutes to Live, as an all-knowing nightclub patron that narrates the story of a young woman across the room that has received a note saying she only has 10 minutes to live. It was an outstanding performance and proved to be his swan song on the screen. Sources have indicated that Lawrence had continued to act on the New York stage throughout the 20s and 30s. In 1940, Lawrence moved to Indianapolis apparently to care for his mother. He may have continued acting on the stage there. Sadly, Lawrence passed away in 1943 at the age of 66 from pneumonia. So we are left with the question, why did Lawrence Chenault retire from the screen so quickly after starring in only a few talkies? I think the answer is a combination of two factors. His first love had always been the stage, and he had never stopped acting on it. Being in his 50s in the 1930s, he probably decided that he would focus his time and energy on his first love and gave up a film career. It's a shame because Lawrence was a true talent that transcended character types to play a variety of different types of characters, each one being completely different from the other. He was fearless in his portrayal of characters that often had to grapple with racism and poverty and other issues that seemed to follow Michaud's vision of bringing these types of issues that plagued African Americans to the screen to raise the public's awareness of them. Many film historians have concluded that Lawrence starred in more leading roles than any other African American actor of the silent era. While so many of his films are lost, we are fortunate to have the ones that we do. I suggest checking out The Symbol of the Unconquered, 10 Nights in a Barroom, and 10 Minutes to Live, all of which are on YouTube, to see the awesomeness that really was Lawrence's talent. Here's to you, Lawrence. I must thank the Notable Kentucky African Americans database and the Appalachians and a Moving Picture website for their invaluable information about the life and career of Lawrence CHENAULT. Please like this video and subscribe or follow this account if you want to learn more about the history of silent film stars whose stardom lasted only briefly in the talkies. Up next, join me as I cover the silent to talkie career of Sue Carroll. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week.